Hello, and welcome back to the It's In You podcast. So today I want to talk about the busyness of women, especially at the moment, and the tendency to always be rushing and always on the go. And I am wanting to get people to start to recognize how this is actually making a really detrimental effect on your health. And it's actually something that you're in control of. If we look at society over how we have grown over many hundreds and thousands of years, when we first we used to look to get food from the land, and we used to move around with the seasons in order to get food. And then as we evolved, people were able to start developing crops. And so instead of having to move with the seasons, we're able to stay into one place and look to get our crops from there. And then time has evolved even more, and people have now looking at getting their food from the most convenient places possible. Women and men, but we tend to be working more than ever to keep up with society or how we perceive that we should be living. Keeping up with that, we're working more than ever, where anything that takes too long to cook, it is just not possible. It's not even considered. And we are looking for anything that is more convenient over nutrition than ever. Or, we are like even if you look at the last 50 or so years of our food, our food's gone from everything being made from scratch, to now everything being in a packet and what's got the longer shelf life and what can be done in the quickest way possible. As much as technology has changed, so that's changed with our food, technology has changed in, we have never ever had a device that we can have on the go. Our whole life is held into this device. We're not getting a rest from work because you can be contacted at an instance. We are constantly seen for checking our phones and making sure that we're not missing something. We've never had a device that leaks radiation, and it's never been researched to have it near our brains for such a long period of time. All of this is unknown, but what I do know is that I'm going to specifically talk about the female population, but I know this is true for men as well. But we are more stressed as a society than what we have ever been before. And when we think about stress and how this affects our bodies, it is something that is underestimated, and it takes its toll on you, and it's starting to take its toll on women's health. And I'm particularly talking about women in their 40s and plus. They might be perimenopausal or they might be in menopause. I'm specifically talking to those women and how it is affecting your health. I'm 41, and in that age, life is busy. I have 2 kids. I have a 10 and a 6-year-old. I had kids a little bit later than some, but my life is very busy, and I realized that I keep it very busy, and I do like busy, but it does take its toll on your health and how we're feeling. And it is something that you have complete charge over, and that you can make changes to for your body and for your, health. If we can start to understand that we have choices in how we live our life, and we have choices in what we're doing, and maybe when we can start to see the effects before it has really long-term detrimental effects, that we can start looking at stripping stuff back or making some changes or some adjustments to make sure that you're feeling the best version of you. I'm calling this very busy woman a steaming woman. So a steaming woman is somebody that you will often feel that your day moves from one urgent task to the other. So regardless of circumstances, whether you're working full-time, part-time, not working, you're parenting, you're studying, whatever you're doing, most of these women really schedule their days to the max to try to squeeze everything in. They seem to feel tired yet wired. They're often frantic, and they tend to wake up and use coffee as their best friend to start the day off, but then they tend to use alcohol in the evenings to help them wind down. Sleep could be a struggle, or they're restless. They tend to laugh less than what they ever did before. They feel scared not to let anyone down. This steaming woman, she knows she's busy, and she knows she does need to slow down, but she's just so convinced that it's just not possible, and that she's so short on time. There is no possible way that she could slow down, and she just has to live it and get through it. Now, I'm calling her the steaming woman because she is trying to steam and get through everything, and she's doing it at the detriment of her own health. My husband is Scottish, and my family is Scottish, and I spent a long time over there. But when we say steaming actually means drunk. And so I'm also referring to, you are kind of like in this uncontrolled state that, but you might seem cool and collected on the outside, but your body on the inside is just out of control. And maybe it has happened so much over time that you don't even recognize that this is happening to you anymore, or that you are this person. Now, I definitely fall into this category, and over the years, I have done lots and lots of things to try to stop it, to try to, not let this stuff take its toll on me. I've definitely had my fair share, but it is something that I think we should all be reassessing, and constantly reassessing where we're at, and how we can change things. Now, if you recognize that this may be you, and you may have some of these signs, you are not alone. And the thing is that your body will be telling you in certain ways. It's asking you to listen to it, and it's telling you that it's not coping. And we might just feel like we need to push through or just ignore it. But your body is your best teacher, and it is letting you know that it needs some help. Your body could be showing you with things like IBS, diarrhea, we could have bloating, brain fog, heavy periods, no periods at all, digestive issues, weight gain, especially around the midsection, and when you feel like you just can't do anything to shift that weight, puffy face, and feeling anxious. They're just some of the signs that your body is telling you that it needs some help. The thing as well is that we tend to fall into this category, and we think that it's okay. We think that, well, we're just busy, and everyone you talk to around you is going through the same thing, so that's just normal. Well, the thing is, it doesn't have to be normal. We look at how much we have evolved over time, and our stresses and all of that have evolved so much. But our bodies actually haven't really changed, but they're having to learn to cope with that stress. And this is what I'm asking you, is to start to recognize, is this you? And how can you start to make some changes? Start to recognize, start to make some changes, to be living the life that you really, really want to live, and feeling good about yourself. The thing is, this rushing lifestyle, it really begins and it ends with us. And you have more control than what you're giving yourself credit for. And no one else has to live your life. And I can hear people saying to me already, but you don't understand what I have to go through. No, I don't understand what you have to go through, but I can guarantee you everybody around you has their own set of circumstances that they're living. And they have, the stress, and how we interpret it and how we feel, or the perception of it is all on us. And that stuff is, we can really you can make lots of changes. And the thing is that with the rush and how it's feeling, the perception, it is partly due to perceptions. And, two people could be in a room and they could perceive the same circumstance very differently. Can be also partly because of the busyness and that stress type of lifestyle. Can all be because of the things that we have said yes to, or the reasons behind why we said yes. So you could be saying yes to things because that you are a people pleaser and you are wanting to make sure that you keep everybody happy. And I have definitely fallen into that category lots of times myself. Whether it's about worthiness, whether we're feeling if we're good enough, if we're not good enough, and what can we do to make sure that we're always seeking that approval. And it can also be, the desire to be loved or wanted, and, that we're doing these things for that reason. And the thing is, I really ask you, you're hearing something that you might be hearing some of the things I'm saying, and you might be feeling like, in your heart that you do need to make a change, but it just feels so impossible and so overwhelming. And every day you're just in survival mode, and we are just trying to survive. The thing is, to really truly understand that, we need to understand that when we're in this stress state, we're in this fight or flight. And I'm sure you've all heard of that term before, that we're in fight or flight and that we feel like we have to run away from the tiger. And when we're doing this, when you feel like you're running away from the tiger, having to run away from the tiger, your body is going to be releasing more adrenaline. And if that adrenaline is not used, it's then just going to be getting stored. Adrenaline ends up being glucose, and it's going to get stored, and most likely it's going to get stored around your midsection. And because we are not getting out of this stress state, our body's functions are altered, and they're not working as efficiently as they should in order to get rid of that extra glucose. And it needs to protect us. It thinks we need to be protected, which is hence why it is just storing it all for us. We can acknowledge that this is maybe what would be happening to us. We know we have the desire, that we know that we need to change, but we just don't even know where to start. And the first thing I want you to do is to think about how do you actually want to live your life? What are the things that, what is your why? What is your desire? How do you feel? And it's all different. There is no right or wrong. It's unique to you. What are the values that you actually, want? And are you living your life according to those values? A few years ago, my husband had he was going through a really stressful time, and he wasn't quite coping. And when we talked about it, how he wanted to live his life and how he was living his life was completely the opposite. So the things that he was valuing was being around, his family and his kids, obviously me and his kids, being around our kids, having quality time together. And at that stage in our lives, he was working every weekend, and he was working late nights and those things. So he wasn't actually living. He wasn't living that way. And sometimes life just evolves, and we just get on with life, and it goes in certain ways that we just end up in a way, and we just feel like we can't get out. We were lucky enough that he decided to leave his job, and he took some time out to really, really reevaluate. And it was the best thing he could have ever done for himself and for us as a family. But when, it was really interesting, and I still remember that day when we sat down and we spoke about it, and how what he actually wanted to live, and what was really important to him, he was doing the exact opposite. And I asked you to ask yourself that question. It's something I'm really aware of, and I remind myself of it daily. My kids are my world, and I am really aware that they're going to get older soon and not want to spend as much time with us. So at the moment, I just want to lap up and cherish every moment with them. And so that is what I try to do, because that's what's most important to me. Again, that doesn't have to be the thing that's important to you. We are all different. But it is starting to think about and acknowledge, how do you actually want to live? And it's thinking about, are you living that way? when I got to a point in my life that I felt really stressed and overwhelmed, and I had to acknowledge that there are things that I have control of, and I'm a list writer, and I like writing things down, and I wrote down all my stresses. I wrote down what my stresses were, and I had to think about what things was actually in my control. So what could I change? And did I have some control over? So I did have some big stresses, and but actually lots of them I could alter. So for me, I was booking people in too tightly. So I was trying to get as much in the day, not let anyone down, being a people pleaser. So that was one thing that I was doing. So I was able to become aware of that, and I was able to start to look at how I was booking people in. I learned to say no to things that I was doing to probably make someone else happy, which I know lots of people struggle with. So I was able to said no to some things and gave myself some more time for me. I, looked at some of my stress management strategies. So some of them was going to the beach, but at the time I told myself I couldn't make it there. And instead of saying I couldn't make it there, I really rephrased how I talked and said, what can I do to make sure I can get to the beach, at least once or twice a week. And once I changed my head that way, I actually could make it. And I did, I'm able to make it now multiple times a day, but I was caught in this trap of being like, no. I really remember probably getting close to 10 years ago now, we had a nutritionist come and speak for the members of the classes at the time. And she came and spoke, and she talked about how we're eating on the go and rushing around, and how that's not great for our digestive health and all of those things. And when she was saying to her, I was like, well, you don't understand. I'm so busy. I have to have client. I have to, have PT sessions in the morning, and then I have to finish them, and then I have to get the kids to school and get here and get back here. I said, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. And I was saying to her, well, you don't understand my life. I'm so busy, but I have a choice in that. I choose to book the people in. I can say no to that. I can make choices to eat my food a little bit later. But I never forget the face she made at me, because in the time I was convinced I had no other choice. That's how I felt. I had no other choice. I could not sit down and do that. And she didn't say anything. She just this face she made and how she shrugged her shoulders. But the truth is, I do have a choice. How we speak to each other is just keeping us, how we speak, in your mind, and, is just keeping you the same way. So that was a really big thing to recognize, that I could actually, I did have a choice in that, and I could rearrange people, how they're booked in, and just to actually sit down and eat and enjoy what I'm eating, and not just scoff it up. That was a really big thing for me. Now, the thing is, many women, they have this tendency to want to be all to everybody, and be all the things to all the people, and they do find it really, really difficult to say no. And being this person is a thing is keeping you, is making you that steaming woman. You're the steaming woman, you're stressed and overworked, feel like we never have enough time. And it is taking its toll on our health. And the thing is to really, really work out what's going on. I urge you to start digging deeper to understand your beliefs. You could be having the perfect diet. So we could have the perfect diet. We're eating, as perfectly as we can. We're, drinking our, 3 to 4 liters of water a day, and we are getting our exercise in. But the thing is that if we are still feeling this overwhelming feeling of anxiety and we're rushing and we're trying to get everything done, we're never going to be able to maybe lose weight or to feel full of energy. And in order to do that, I urge you to dig deeper to understand your beliefs and how those beliefs are driving your actions. So just like me, I believed I had no other way then I had to eat breakfast on the go. And I had lots of things. When I was younger, I used to work 2 jobs, and I didn't work 2 jobs because I needed the money. I worked 2 jobs because I felt I had to be loyal, and I had caught people I was working in a florist and in a pub. And when I first started working in the pub, I caught people stealing. I told the boss at the time, the business was struggling, and they were stealing like bottles of Jack Daniels, and they're hiding it out the back and then taking it home. And I was only 19 or something, and I told the boss, and they got fired. But I then took it on as my responsibility, and that it was my fault that that it was my fault that happened, which meant I had to work all the hours that they used to do. Now, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault, and it wasn't my responsibility. But for years, I took that on as my responsibility, and I used to work day and night, and my only day off was Monday night. I still had to work Monday during the day. And, that was a belief of mine, and that was detrimental to my health. I also missed out on, lots of fun activities with my friends because I was working all the time. And that was a belief of mine, and that belief wasn't true. And that belief, it did cause havoc on my body. I was tired. I used to lay in bed. I used to get home from working, and it might be 2 a.m. or something, and I'd have to be back up and at work at 8. And I remember laying down, and I would just have like shooting pains through my legs when I'd get up in the morning, just probably because I'd never rested enough. But what I'm saying is, it's these beliefs that can be holding us back and really taking a toll on our bodies and what we do. Lots of times food is used as a crux. It's used as the crux because that can give us comfort and make us feel good. And other things, we just don't realize how much they are still taking a toll on our bodies. The rush and the craziness and the trying to get everything done, it is communicating to our bodies with this relentless production of the stress hormone, and it is really taking its toll on our overall health. It's leading women to feel helpless, to have a higher body mass index and more chronic illness than those without stresses. And it is just important to start to acknowledge that if you are one of these steaming women, and that you can stop and start to acknowledge that this could be you, and that the changes can be made. It's important, and the first step is recognition. Now, I have developed a program which is called Mind Over Muscle, which is all about looking in our headset and working on how we're feeling, and maybe on our belief system, and how that stuff is holding us back, and it's causing us to start and to give up, and to be on that constant yo-yo cycle. And when we can start to really dig deeper and work out why we're doing certain things, and what are the beliefs behind that are driving our actions and that are causing us to feel overwhelmed or not good, we can really start to break them down. I was talking to my gran today actually about feelings, and looking at working through these types of processes. My gran's 89. She said, shouldn't we just put it in the cupboard and shut the door and forget about it? And sure, you know what, you can try to do that, but the thing is, I guarantee you it shows up in more ways than you'll ever know. it shows up in more ways, and I really ask you to just start digging deeper, because we can continue to try to put it away and to ignore it, but it will keep showing up, and it can be difficult to acknowledge it. But first, starting to just create little steps, little small tiny steps to work through it, and start creating new habits that fit in with the lifestyle that we want to live, you'll feel so much better for it. So I'm going to leave you with that today, and I really would love to hear from you if you feel like you are one of those steaming women that is rushing around, trying to get everything done, and feel like you've got 1,000 tasks on your to-do list. If you feel like you don't have enough time to get everything done, I'd love to hear from you. So I'll talk to you all soon.